Alright, so this will be our first YouTube test video. I was going to attempt to stream, but it would not allow me to do it. So what we will be working on, well, see if we can get a little better look there. This is a baby owlbear, something I have a mold of. It's good for testing new paints. It's got a lot of different textures, contours, shapes. It's just good for testing product on. This, on the other hand, is something we're going to make. This is a dry brush palette. It gives you something to, well, literally dust your dry brush off on instead of using a paper towel or something like that. Most people are using a dry brush. They're removing too much moisture from their brush. Removing moisture from the brush is not actually what you're trying to do. What you really want to do is remove the amount of pigment you have on your brush. You want to keep the moisture. So when you're dry brushing, you just kind of want to go in light, small circles. But, no paint right now, obviously, but also, just for reference, best dry brush there is. We're going to make one of these. It's stupid simple. It's really cheap. Swung by a Dollar Tree and picked up a few things. Let's see here. Pan. Doesn't really matter. Pick something you like. Elmer's glue. Again, doesn't really matter. Just whatever cheapest Elmer's glue, craft glue. God, honestly, it doesn't even have to be Elmer's glue. You can use some old caulk or silicone. You can use sprue goo. Whatever you got laying around, really. So we're gonna hose this pan down. You make sure you get as much of the surface as you possibly can. If you miss a spot, it's not really that important. But the more coverage you get, the more crap you can put down. I would suggest doing this with things that you would regularly paint. With textures you normally come across. So for our Warhammer guys, that would be like leftover Space Marine bits and whatever have you. Chunks of old sprue. Sand is always a welcome addition. Just anything that has a texture, really. The point here is there's several things you can do with a dry brush palette. One of those things is prepping your dry brush. The other thing is you can test your paint on something similar before you apply it to your figure. You can see how it's going to act before you do it. Sometimes that's all it takes to keep you from having a strip of mini. I thought this would really look good, but in actuality it didn't. Well, with something like this, you can pre-test your idea. So we got here a few resin cast, we'll say generic Marines. We're just going to drop them on here wherever they feel like falling. Put one face down. Plop them up. Been a big Tyranid player for a long time. Actually, you know what? I just said big chunk of sprue. Let's try a big chunk of sprue. Snips. Booyah. Yeah. Let's cut a little bit. Oh, it's sticking up there. Need not matter to us. We'll just cut them off. Let them flop where they want. Like I said, where you put things on this isn't particularly important. It definitely does not have to look all cute and neat or anything like that. It just needs to be there. And it needs to be there when you need it to be there. Alright, so let's throw some bits on here. Let's see. That'll go there. Chunk this little booger in here. Gun. A few of these little venom spore things. I forget what they're called. Carapace or two. You can see some of these bits. I haven't even cut the chunks of sprue off of them. It really just, I can't say how much it does not matter. What you really need is the texture. It doesn't matter what the bits look like. Just whatever textures you happen to use a fairly decent amount of is more than adequate. Well, let's snap this part. Ooh, I don't want to snap apart. Well, let's just shove it in there like that then. Why not? Okay. Let's see. Something else we do often. How about a rock? Rock's pretty good to have. Let's put another one over here, just for the sake of having it, because why not? There's an old base. We can throw that in there. You just want to make sure it sticks into the glue well, because when it dries up, the glue is going to shrink. It's very, very much not important. Last thing, we're going to use some sand. Sand is a biggie. A lot of you Warhammer guys do a lot of base terrain, mess around with a lot of texture paste and things like that. So sand is a regularly used thing. And like I said, no real rhyme or reason to it. Just put it all over everything. We'll let this sit overnight. And after it's set overnight, we'll shake all the sand off that wants to come off. And just take it outside or go shake it off in the trash can. Whatever you want to do. It's your world, right? Happy little accidents. Yeah, okay. This is one of those things that's hard to screw up. Um, so there you go. We have a more than adequate texture palette. Matter of fact, this one's a lot less busy than my normal one, but for the purpose of video, this gets the point across. Alright, let's move that out of the way. Let's bring back our old one. So this is our old one. So after things dry and you shake everything off, just take it outside and hit it with a can of spray paint. I realize not everybody has a spray booth with fans built in, but you know, if you want to airbrush it, airbrush it. If you want to spray paint it, spray paint it. Solely up to you. And the only real reason to paint it at all is to help kind of seal in anything that's there and maybe a little loose. It'll keep things from coming up off of it. I mean, this is pretty sturdy. Originally, I mixed a little blue paint with the Elmer's glue, Big Shrimp. For you guys out there that know me, you kind of know where this came from. It doesn't take a lot of money to build, and this will definitely change the way you dry brush. Now, most common question I get is, if this is the proper way to dry brush, why have I always been told to do it with a paper towel? Well, this is a little bit more advanced, and the reason we've always showed you how to do it with a paper towel is because that's the easiest thing for us to relate to you. It does work. Just a little dot of white paint. We'll move this over to the front here. Little Army Painter matte white there. By the way, one of my favorite white paints there is. We're just going to lightly touch the end of our brush in it. Now, sitting over here, I've got a piece of paper used for a wet palette. Now, for me, I'm not trying to get my paint to come off the brush. You see it's still on there. If I go like this, you definitely see it. Sticks out like a sore thumb. Yeah. So we're just gonna rub this around, and you really want to go with these small circles. Just keep working it around and around. Try some of your other bits. See how it looks. Now, you can do it the old-fashioned way. Just sit here and just pow, 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 pow. And that works fine. I mean, look at this little rock here. Pop, 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 pop. Excellent job. Looks great. It's a little streaky, but it does work. But what we're going for is more of a clouded effect than a streaking effect. So we're just going to work this in small circles. And we're just going to, ooh, just came off of my poster tack there. You know, it's okay. We have thumbnails for a reason. But you can see the, bring my light up. The white is starting to definitely show through. That's a good angle. And we're just going to keep doing this until we get that level we want. Everybody's all into speed paints and contrast right now. This is a very important step it will change how your miniatures look doing this first. Because when you put your contrasting paints or your washes, your glazes, your slap chop, your speed paint, whatever product it is that you really want to use, this white is going to make your colors brighter, and the dark is going to make your colors darker. And you just keep using this over and over again until you get the consistency you want. Don't get in a rush. Don't put your paint that's in this form directly on your model. It's too much. At that point, you're practically painting it white. The old school rattle can from the top at a 45-degree angle, yeah, that works. You guys can do better. I've seen some of your stuff. You guys are great. I know this is slower, but you're going to thank yourself for it. You really will. Appreciate you guys watching the video. Like, subscribe, leave some comments, tell me what you think, and give me ideas for the future. I'd love to know how terrible I sound over YouTube. Y'all have a wonderful day.